Okay, my friends, here it is, the video that's going to explain to you the single most important thing that you can be doing for your garden. More important than any of the liquid fertilizers that we have made on this channel is what I'm about to show you and describe to you in this video. So I'm going to say some things about the philosophy so that you have an understanding of the process, because that's most important. And then I'm going to take you out and show you exactly what I'm talking about. So to understand the optimal plant nutrition and how to go about creating the conditions that are necessary for the plants to thrive, let us first examine something that all of us are familiar with, the human body. Because remember, the soil and my body are one. The plants and my body are one. So if you want to get a healthy physical body, as healthy and vibrant and bursting with life as possible, then you are going to focus on your diet, of course, what you consume, what goes into the body. And you're going to focus basically, there's two categories, I'll say. The base nutrition and the supplemental nutrition. The base nutrition would be the actual food, the quality and the cleanness and the wholesomeness of the actual calories that you are taking in, the whole foods. The supplemental nutrition is the vitamins and mineral supplements and the fish oils and the extracts and the tinctures and herbs and all of that kind of stuff, okay? Now, and remember, we're talking about the body here so that we can understand the process. To get as big and as strong and healthy as possible, if you focus on the base nutrition, and the base nutrition is of a high enough caliber and quality, meaning the food that you are intaking is as close to its natural state as possible, and it's been grown or raised in a way that makes it nutrient dense and full of life force, then you are going to have a thriving gut microbiome as a result of that, because you have to have the appropriate microbiology in the gut in order to access all of the nutrients from your food. So if you have those two things, you can get all the nutrients that the body requires to thrive from whole foods in as close to their natural state as possible. There's no need for any kind of supplementation. However, if your base nutrition is lacking and the quality is lacking, then you will be deficient, and therefore you will need supplemental nutrition in the form of vitamins and minerals and protein powders and all of this other stuff. But if your base nutrition is on point, there's no need for supplements. But if your base nutrition is not on point and it's lacking and it's lopsided and disharmonious, then no amount of supplements that you take is going to make you healthy and thriving. If you have a poor diet, it doesn't matter if you're taking handfuls of vitamins, you're not going to thrive. It's actually just going to make you sick. So in the exact same way, because remember, the soil and the plants and my body are all one. In the exact same way, our body, or the plants, will thrive based upon base nutrition and supplemental nutrition. Now, the base nutrition for the plants is what they are taking up through their roots, what is in the soil, what has been digested through the natural process of the soil food web, and what has been through a microbiology and time. Okay, and that requires, just like our body, high quality of inputs, high quality ingredients, and the appropriate microbial life, just like our body. And so that if you put the right things into the soil and you have the appropriate microbial life, the plant will be able to access everything that it needs its entire life. And there's no need for any kind of fertilization, even the natural ones that we've had on this channel. So, but if the base nutrition is not right and the soil conditions are not proper and the microbial life is not thriving, then yes, you will need to supplement your plants with the fertilization. And this includes any of the fertilizers that you've seen on this channel. Those are all more just like multivitamins, okay? So now that you understand how important this is and how that you can have a thriving thing. See, if you have poor soil food conditions, it doesn't matter how many fertilizers you apply, you're not going to have thriving plants. And that's the point that I'm trying to drive home here. So what are we going to do? We're going to prepare the soil now in the fall time so that the natural process of decay can create new life in the spring. That's the best possible way to feed the plants. And it's the best natural pesticide, it's the best natural fungicide, it's the best natural everything, because a strong, healthy plant can defend itself against anything within reason. So, because remember, like I've been saying, and I will keep saying, most of the diseases that the plants get are already present in the soil. The powdery mildew, the blight, the corn smut, all that stuff is already in the soil. And so only when things become out of harmony can it overtake the plant and the plant gets the disease. So a healthy, thriving plant can defend itself against all that. So that's what we have to focus on, is creating the base nutrition so that the plant can defend itself and can access all the nutrients itself. You see? So how are we going to do that? We're going to do that by a combination of cover crops and fertility adding. Now, cover crops, as you've hopefully watched the other videos I had about those recently, those are going to be for our heat-loving plants next year. The things we're going to plant for heat-loving, after the last frost, because we have to terminate the cover crop at the right time. And that requires the heat-loving plants to go in after it. But for our cabbages and kales and peas and the cool-loving crops, we are going to add fertility in the form of different types of manures and organic matters, and then possibly give it an inoculation with a microbial brew. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I do the bed for the heat-loving crops next year. Okay? So hopefully you have a better understanding of all of this, and let's go outside and have a look. Okay, in this example, we're doing the tomato bed, which will also be the bed of tomatoes next year. So we are just going to remove all the strings, remove all the supports and the cages if you use them, whatever it is, and then cut them all at ground level. Do not remove the roots. Just cut the plant, pile it into the center, and add some kale and add some weeds or whatever else it is. And then you take the lawnmower and you mow it up. Break it up into fine chunks. This isn't absolutely required, but it's really beneficial. And then go around and make sure that all of the organic matter, the leaves of whatever kind, is in there. And give it all a good mow, so that by the end, you have this nice layer of chopped up, really rich, high nitrogen organic matter. And it doesn't matter if it's all chopped up. See, there's still lots of tomatoes and tomato stalks and all that stuff there, but that's just going to become delicious, beautiful worm food. You see, the soil underneath is really nice and rich, and we're creating basically an in-place worm bed, a compost, where all of that, 6 inches of that, is on top of the soil. Then, once it looks about like this, we're going to add, I would say, 20-25 pounds of chicken manure. Now, this is just straight out of the chicken coop, and it's a pine shaving bedding with the chicken manure straight on top. So we're going to spread about 1 inch of that, like I said, about 25 pounds for this 5 by 10 foot area. And then we're going to take the rest of the ash fertilizer, one of the buckets of the ash fertilizer, and we're just going to slop that all over the garden. Next thing we're going to do is tap into this beautiful pile of homemade leaf mold. So I make this stuff out of leaves, and it is different than the leaf mold for the microbial inoculations. This stuff is actually like compost and like soil and like mulch. So it's right about that time of year where we're going to be making more. So let me know if you want to see a video on how to make this stuff yourself. But this is wonderful for the plants. It's full of minerals, and the worms love it. So we are going to add that, about 3 to 5 inches of that, on top of this whole thing that we've already done. And we're going to make sure that it's nice and thick and that it covers the whole bed. So we have food for the worms, and now we're going to plant a cover crop so that we can be building soil all winter and early spring. And for that, because I'm in zone 5B, 6A, we're going to use a combination of winter rye and red clover. We're going to sow it about this thick. And then we don't bury it, we just incorporate it. We just fluff up the soil like this, so that when you're finished, you're barely going to be able to see any of the cover crop grains or anything like that. And here we go, 1 down and 13 more to go. So there you go. If you would like to see a full year cycle of this cover crop, then I will direct you to this video here, and it will show you exactly what it looks like next spring when you go to use it. So check that video out. Also check out the links in the description. Get the supplies necessary, the mushrooms and the microgreens and the sprout seeds, because we're going to be starting all those videos about indoor growing here in about another 3 weeks to a month. So get on that. And a big shout out to everyone that is using the link in the description to make a contribution to the PayPal. It is greatly appreciated, my friends.